What's up, YouTube? Dread Guy here. And first of all, thank you for the recent feedback. It made me realize that it's finally time to not only show you a deck list with gameplay, this time I will go over everything card by card and talk about the entire build strategy so that even beginners can pick up the deck and understand the game plan. But quick disclaimer, Crystal Beast is an archetype where you don't get locked, so no restrictions, and because of that, I present you a fully tested baseline build that works on its own, but this doesn't mean you can't add another engine or go up to 60 cards. The same goes for the combos. You have 1 card and 2 card combos, but freestyling your way with the Pegasus Ruby loop and going for Saryuja's Atlantis to draw cards and gathering names to reach overdrive is a common occurrence. You will get a hold of it after playing the deck for a while. So, let's start with the build. It's my personal favorite at the moment. Before we talk about external engines, let's go over the Crystal Beast cards and ratios. We play 7 different names to meet the summoning condition of Rainbow Dragon. The ratio is also the bare minimum, and there are arguments to play 2 Rainbow Dragon, playing 2 Ruby, or even another Crystal Beast name, in case a unique one gets banished. And to give my answer to that, you can either do that, or play another engine like Nemesis, which can recycle banished names, or Tomb to unbrick the Rainbow Dragon in your hand. Personally, I'm comfortable with it because I have another win con in this build, which we will go over in a minute. For the archetype spells, they are the best part about Crystal Beast. These are the cards you want to open with. The monsters other than Pegasus and Ruby are just the engine requirements. You should max out all main spells. Cards like Bridge of Heart and Golden Rule let you extend through interruptions. Only Awakening can be play at 1 or 2, but let's be real, if your only copy gets negated it hurts. And having multiple increases your chance of extending or giving the Rainbow Dragon in your hand value. It's also a key card that lets Crystal Beast access any field spell in the game, and resolving both effects is another payoff for actually summoning the old Rainbow Dragon. For the traps, Crystal Miracle is a searchable counter trap, and the second effect is nice to have. Sometimes it can even place the final name from your deck to finish the game with overdrive. Salvation's first effect hardly comes up. It's just the field spell search that matters. Now, to the non-engine. As you can see, Crystal Beast's core engine is huge with many engine requirements, which not only prevents us from double hand trapping, it also ruins the balance and consistency of the deck. The best solution we found over the years are ideally non-response board breaker that are flexible when going first or second. If you draw 1 non-engine, it needs to count. So we aim for high impact cards. In this baseline build, we focus on Droplet and Super Poly, because they fulfill the aforementioned criteria, and the discarding helps with unbricking Salvation from your hand, or getting rid of useless Crystal Beast names. At the time of making this video, Super Poly is very good against the mono attribute decks going around. Forbidden Droplet is also excellent because we can send crystallized names from the back row, which count as continuous spells, but Droplet checks original card types, so your opponent can't respond with monster effects. Other great options are Thrust or Book of Eclipse, which allows you to dodge stuff like Imperm on Ruby. As I said earlier, you need non-engine that's valuable going second and going first so you can protect your strategy. So next up we have our external engine, which is Millennium, and let me explain why it goes so well with Crystal Beast. Millennium produces 4 bodies with 1 rank 4, mainly for Saryuja, which is insane because you don't add a hard brick compared to other engines like Springens or Snake Eyes. Every card from this engine will at least do something, and some will even force interaction from your opponent. Like I said, for the sake of this video, I'm trying to keep it beginner friendly, but if you pair Millennium with a small Fiendsmith engine, it will work wonders, because other than baiting, you can transform any 2 bodies into Wave King Caesar to negate Nibiru or act as double negate. Engraver can also act as additional removal, and Requiem as Doom Dragon fodder. But back to Millennium, the engine ignores all Molcharmies because the Millennium monster are summoned from the back row. Also, Sengenjin and Golem can bait stuff like Ash Blossom or Impulse. The engine doesn't care about some other hand traps as well, like Imperm since the search effects are glued with the summon itself. Millennium also fuels the back row for Doomed Dragon. The bodies are beefy, and combined with Doomed Dragon plus SP, you can threaten certain board states fairly quick. You can also make number 90 with Doomed and Sengenjin against Nibiru. Also, Yugioh Temple can place Zenith from the hand to the back row and give other useless Crystal Beast names in your hand, at least some value. As you can hear, there is a good amount of synergy. It's a fully tested and safe engine for Crystal Beast. People who have tried it gave mostly positive feedback. Recently, a fellow creator picked it up and absolutely smoked people with it. Like, we are talking about playing through 2 hand traps, including Nibiru, and breaking boards on top of it. So after the benefits, we will go over the strategy and its priorities. Most of you already know, but we are talking about infinite negates with Game Seal. And guys, I'm telling you, if you establish Game Seal through hand traps and back it up with other stuff like Miracle, which is not uncommon, it's pretty much GG. The game plan is basically to access Waterfront, either by activating goods for salvation, or resolve Awakening to Foolish Salvation. Opening with the field spell, or accessing it through Saryuja's draw effect later on also happens, so keep that in mind. Next up, it's all about producing 4 bodies, for example, with Pegasus into Gallant Granite to access the Millennium Engine. By the way, if you opened with Gas, you can try to go for Dagares first and use the Draw 2 effect. It's a great Imperm Veiler target, which will act like a sponge, and even if he has, let's say, a second one he uses on Gallant Granite, for example, you still have sheep plays to summon your entire back row for another spam, or even Golden Rule. And that's what it's all about. You print so many bodies in this version. This is also the right time to talk about the main choke point. It's Saryuja. If the opponent starts to understand the game plan, he will start to stop it, which is something I experienced after months of playing with this deck. The good news is that you can pump out another one, or solve it by playing additional engines. I talked about like Banshee with Protos or Fiendsmith to bait out their stuff prior to Saryuja's summon. This is really not a big issue. The real problems are still stuff like Droll and Extraisiel, but hey, every deck has its weakness. For the extra deck, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Overdrive our boss monster, super poly targets, and some generic stuff that supports our strategy. The side deck is very simple. Basically, when you go first, you add Ash Blossom to counter Mulcharmies. A lot of times, I also add Thrust with Dimensional Barrier. For those 7 cards I mentioned, you side out the Droplets, Super Poly, and a copy of Awakening. When going second, add Droll if the opponent is weak to it, same with Lancia. But like I said, this is just a rough overview from my side. Feel free to adjust the deck size and non-engine slots. Now, we are done with the deck list, and if you have specific questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you are a beginner, please check out the written guide we have on our Discord server for extra valuable information. Before we move to some combos, I want to remind you to what I said earlier. A lot of combos are freestyle, and that it's all about accessing Waterfront and producing bodies to reach Saryuja so we can establish infinite negates. I'm going to link 3 videos with actual gameplay with this deck in the description, so make sure to check that out after seeing the basic combo. That's it from me, I hope it was helpful, and see you next time for Crystal Peak.